One take.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, DJ B Remix.
Wah, wah.
We're back in the mix.
Yeah.
Here we are. The
we have a
Oscars are this Sunday,
we
guys.
have a fancy setup.
And we completed our 8 film watch binge of Best Picture nominees for this year.
Yep.
What are the 8 films that we watched, Homegirl?
Okay. Well, um, they are Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Promising Young Woman, The Father, Minari, Sound of Metal, Trial of the Chicago 7, and Nomadland. 8 movies.
Yes.
Eight
Eight
movies.
movies and 8 very unique films.
Yeah.
I was telling Rizaline, Lexa, I don't know what names we use when we do these. I was saying how what's interesting about 2 things that I learned when it comes to watching the films nominated for Best Picture. 2 main things, anyway. One is that the Academy for Best Picture, they're looking for something that tells a story that you haven't really heard before or heard of before, and in a unique way, in an interesting way, be it through a unique cinematography or a unique way to direct the film,
Storytelling.
storytelling, etc. So there's that, and the other thing that I learned is that these films are great films, and that I should probably be more open to watching films that aren't typically on my radar, because a lot of these films weren't on our radar, like would have never been on our radar. I don't think we'd ever like see the trailer for Nomadland and be like, oh hey, we want to go out of our way and watch that movie. There's been a lot of movies that I've seen that get a lot of buzz, but I'm never like as hyped for it as, say, watching I don't know, in Avengers Infinity War. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So what we're gonna do is our rankings of all 8 movies.
Hmm.
Daniel's gonna do his rankings. I'll do my rankings, and then we'll do ours together.
Yeah.
And if you followed us in our series, I've kind of been doing power rankings as we go along. So and it's changed with each movie. I think for me, the thing I realized watching these movies is just that these movies like are it takes a lot some energy and some emotion to watch a
It
lot of
does.
movies, especially I mean,
A lot of these
and
films are
especially these,
heavy
yes, because
hitting,
they're
heavy pills
heavy
to swallow.
content. It's like really
Prostitute.
relevant. We actually got feedback on one of ours about Sound of Metal. Well, yeah, we'll just start there. But because the story is of a man who becomes deaf and how he just goes through dealing with that, and it expands on the conversation about people with conditions and like how to say it in an inclusive and like respectful way. It's like he's not. I mean, you don't have to necessarily say that they're a deaf person. They're a person who is deaf. They're not necessarily suffering from deafness. And it's also like that's the story in the film. It's like the perspective on like disabilities or health. I wouldn't want to say disabilities, but like health conditions and just and normalizing it and being accepting. So there's so the reason why we got into this was for because of the first movie we watched, which was Minari,
Hmm.
because we wanted to support Asian American actors, directors, and then from
Well,
there we wanted to
and we
just
we
watch the
found out that
rest
it
of
was
them.
nominated for Best Picture, And so from there, we were like, okay, then why don't we just go ahead and do all 8 films, or watch the 7 remaining films nominated for Best Picture.
For the trial of the Chicago 7.
And then from there, we went in order. We went Minari first, Nomadland second, Trial of the Chicago. No, Trial of the Chicago 7 or Promising Young Woman. I think we watched Promising Young Woman third, then Trial of Chicago 7, then Mank, then Judas and the Black. Oh, sorry, then The Father, then Judas and the Black Messiah, and then Sound of Metal. We watched Sound of Metal last, which was a few days ago. Um, and yeah, like 2 films. We mentioned that The Father and Sound of Metal are both films that are very similar in that they both touch on 2 main characters suffering from like some sort of onset
Health condition.
like condition, right? Uh, and um, then you also have Judas and the Black Messiah and the Chicago 7, which kind of happen parallel to each other.
They're about actual events.
True events. And
the Black Panther Party.
The Black Panther Party and the political climate that was very tumultuous in the 1960s.
Which is also parallel to the way things are right now.
And in some ways, like you could even look at Mank and um, you can kind of see some parallels between Mank and Nomadland in that the main character Mankiewicz and the main character in Nomadland, they're sort of like in the twilight of their career and their lives, and they're trying to find like they're trying to find some sort of purpose when they're suffering from like something, some trauma or whatever before. Well, I don't think Mank was dealing with trauma.
I was thinking Minari and like Nomadland kind of have some similarities.
In what way?
Well, so my thought was that they're both like people that kind of start a different chapter of their life.
Yeah. True.
But for Nomadland, it's like we don't know the full context. Like we just see her right when she's already like living in a van and stuff. So
sure.
But in Minari, we catch the family like when they first moved from Korea to the States, and then they're starting out.
Yeah, I think both Minari and Nomadland sort of are like they capture some type of Americana, like an aspect of American life that is very underrepresented in media. I think that it's important to note that both films are Asian directors, so they're so they have a unique perspective. Well, let me be clear though. The director for Minari is Asian American. He grew up in America. That was a movie based like largely on his life and his upbringing.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, and then you have Promising Young Woman, which is kind of like the odd one out in all these films, but uh,
it still holds up.
Yeah, no, of course, it's a topic that is very deep, and it's something that needs to be addressed, and doesn't get addressed very well and very often. And I think the way that the film addresses it, it really, a lot of these films, they force you to like reevaluate your perspective on things. And Promising Young Woman, I think, did that in a lot of ways the most, where a lot of people don't tend to um, they don't look at the women that are victimized by these promising young men that assault them. Like they don't look at them with the same compassion as they would if it were like an actual, like their daughter or something like that. You know?
Another recurring theme is families. So the father, it's a father and his daughter. Well,
Mhm.
that's kind of smaller. And then Minari is a story of families.
Sure.
Um,
I mean, Judas and the Black Messiah in some
there's
ways,
yeah.
but yeah.
Um, what else? I mean, Promising Young Woman does go into some romance, sort of.
Hmm.
Sound of Metal, I mean, it's the main character, but he also has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just trying to look at like I'm looking at the posters and like trying to like Mank is very love letter to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's yeah.
Sure. And a few things to mention also. I guess. Well, you know what? Let's talk about like the other categories. Like best supporting actor, best actor, etc., etc. We'll talk about that afterwards. But without further ado, Homegirl, why don't you go ahead and start and give us your official final power ranking of the 8 films nominated for Best Picture of
Um,
2020,
okay.
and I'll
How
go
do I?
after.
So we watched. So we watched Minari first. So I was like, okay, cool, number one.
What?
Well, hold on, chill out. I'm talking you through my thing.
You're
And
talking
then
through
what did
your
we watch
process.
next? We watched Nomadland.
Nomadland was second.
So I still like Minari the most because it's a Asian story and it hit a lot of stuff that we experienced growing up in some way, or mostly Daniel, not me. And then what did we watch after that?
We watched Promising Young
Promising
Woman.
Young Woman.
Yeah.
So then I put that at number three. Like it's still good. It's very like it's like an extended episode of like Law and Order SVU.
Hmm.
The soundtrack was cool. It's like you have Mank, which is like old Hollywood. Like Promising Young Woman is like modern.
It's the type of like young
Like
people
Sound of Metal is
movies.
kind of a more of a modern present day.
To some
Um,
degree.
and then what did we watch after that? Chicago 7.
Chicago 7.
So then Chicago 7 like rocked my world and I was like this is number 1 because it like stirs my soul.
I've
And
heard that from other people as well. People are, well, not everyone has watched all 8 films, but a lot of people have been saying like Chicago 7. Trial of
it's
Chicago 7 has been
it's
one of the,
good. It's
a
good.
really good film.
And
What about the film though rocked your world?
um it so the thing is like we watched that one and then we watched Judas and the Black Messiah and they're like both pretty similar. But I mean, in the other review, I was saying like I Chicago 7 that it's a little more tied in a nice little bow.
Hmm.
It's a little like it's what is it like more palatable, I guess in a way.
It gives you more hope in the ending, I think.
Yeah,
Whereas Black Panther sort of,
Black
uh,
Messiah,
sorry, Black Messiah ends on like a very.
which is I mean that's the reality. But yeah, Chicago 7 like it had a really good cast. Borat was
That's
really
true. It
good.
was a very, out of all the films, it had the most stacked
Um,
cast.
and I mean, it's also again like a big fan of SVU. Like it's all most of it
Court
takes place in a
drama. That's
in a
true. Yeah.
courtroom. So that's my kind of drama. So that's what happened. And then what did we watch? Mank.
Mank. No.
Still good. I just like it was long. It was wordy. And
Very
also, I
dialogue
mean,
heavy.
sometimes like we're watching these like kind of late at night or like at the end of the day, end of the week, and it's like we have to focus somehow on watching them. So, but yeah, Mank was cool. It was the story of how what is it?
Citizen
Citizen
Kane.
Kane. Yeah.
Yeah. How the writer wrote the inspiration behind writing Citizen Kane.
Yep.
How he worked together with Orson Welles
Yep.
to sort of change Hollywood in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I was
A lot of these films would not be films if it wasn't for the story behind Mank.
Mm.
You know, because
Like I got the Hollywood issue of Vanity Fair, and then there's a part where they talk about Amanda Seyfried.
who was nominated for Best Supporting Actress?
Um, and she was saying how like it's like as she got older, like they would always cast her as like a mom or like someone older, but this was the first time in a while that they cast her as like a like a Hollywood starlet,
Hmm.
which was interesting. I just thought that's an interesting thing about Hollywood. And then we watched The Father. The Father was good. Did I put it in the bottom? Ooh, I don't
The
remember what I
Father,
put.
like what probably is the most artistic out of all these
Yeah. Okay.
films.
Yeah. I think I would put. Hmm. Hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily matter where you put
I
it
know,
now, but
but I'm like because I did appreciate the storytelling in The Father, where it was
uh,
like they put you in the shoes of the father,
mhm.
and you're going through it, being like, wait, is this what I thought? Is this what I saw? Or um, nah, I'll still put Promising Young Woman above it because it's still like I like the pace of that one. And then we watched Judas and the Black Messiah. Oh gosh, this is hard. Um, and again, it's similar to Chicago 7. It's a little bit tougher, but the acting was really good. Um,
Oh yeah, Daniel Kaluuya. His for someone who's not even American, like the way he performed those speeches and everything, insane, man. He did an
sorry,
insanely good
sorry,
job.
sorry.
It's okay.
Um, Sound of Metal.
If he gets best actor, or sorry, best supporting actor, I would not be surprised. Daniel Kaluuya.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go like that. Yeah.
Wow, is that your official top 8? Is that your official power ranking?
Chicago 7, Minari, Metal, Nomad, Promising, Messiah, Father, Mank. Yeah, I
Wow.
think so. Because again, it's like not that Mank or the Father or the Messiah, Black Messiah is the worst. Like
Mm-hmm.
these are
Yeah,
all
no, they're good. They're all good
they're
movies.
all really good. Um, and it's like I mean, I guess I would watch Chicago, or I'd like I don't know, I'd watch some of these again. But yeah, I mean, it's the first time we've done like a
Let's save your ranking.
like a um well, it's a series like this. Um where we're watching all these movies in a set. Um it's like whereas you have like all the Avengers ones, they all came out over a couple years, or like the Justice League movies,
Uh huh.
or like our movie review series started with 50 Shades of Grey, so that's over the span of a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
But this one was like we're gonna watch 8 movies in the span of about 2 months, um, and we have to really like pay attention. And I'm getting distracted by this, but yeah. So, um, will we
So
do this
try.
again? I don't know.
I'm not done. I didn't do mine yet.
No, we're
Excuse
done.
me.
We're done
Excuse
now. Thank you
me.
for watching.
Excuse me.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
So, so if it were up to you,
Mm-hmm.
Best Picture would go to The Trial of Chicago 7.
Um, Not necessarily.
But that's what your ranking was.
No,
But that's
because
what the
that's
ranking
that's
should.
my personal ranking. That's how I feel.
Oh, okay. So
Like
well,
I
but if you were hold on though. My question is, if you were a member of the Academy and you were to cast your vote for Best Picture, your vote would be for The Trial of Chicago 7.
you know, yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Okay, guys. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just go from the bottom to the top.
Uh,
Okay. So straight away, I hate to do it, but I'm gonna put Mank at 8. Um, as someone who studied screenwriting and everything, I definitely appreciated the film. I appreciated the story behind it and everything. It's just it was a very long film, and the language used was it's very archaic. It's crazy to think that like 100 years ago people talked differently. But then again, this film was written not like to feel accurate to the times, but to feel like a movie that was made in those times as
Yeah,
well.
that's I mean
So it
that's
was
the
very
fascinating thing about it.
theatrical. Yeah, it was very
Cuz it's
theatrical. It
in
was
black and
very
white, and like we were saying, like they probably did film like
mhm.
filming methods that they did
Yeah.
like
The
in the
actors
time.
they did, and the actors also sort of um, they took on that 1940s 1950s swagger.
Yeah.
You know,
So it's still really good.
it is a great
It's
film,
just
but
with
for me,
everything
as far
else.
as like these out of these 8 films, that's the one that like stuck with me the least. Okay.
Okay.
Um, going further in, I'm going to have to put Promising Young Woman at 7.
Mm.
And before everyone's all like, "Oh, cause you're a guy," like, hold on. I thought Promising Young Woman was a very important film. It definitely did, like, it had twists and turns to it that I was amazed by and impressed by very much so. Um, uh, you know, uh, I think that one it's very much like it's almost like Dexter. It's kind of like Dexter, and I would prefer it as
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah. I, I guess I guess for me it felt I don't think it needs Best Picture to 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 be validated or anything. I just I think that's ultimately how I feel regarding the film. So for me, I don't know if I would call it Best Picture. Okay, moving right along. Judas and the Black Messiah would be sixth. The performances are what made the film. Um, the story behind it was, equally good. There were some parts that were just so difficult to watch, so graphic, uh, violent. It really does make you hate police, but it also is very, like I mentioned in the review that we did. It's very um, responsible, in my opinion, in how it gives the information. It doesn't say, oh, it's not trying to say, oh, these poor Black Panthers, or oh, these evil police officers. It just shows you that the system, from the bottom to the top, to all the outlying things like the gangs and everything, it's such a effed up system. It was effed up back then. It's still effed up now. It's an important film, and the performance. The first of all, the story behind it is insanely fascinating, and the performances by Daniel Kaluuya, and gosh, oh my God, his name is escaping me right now. Um, the guy who plays O'Neill, Wild Bill O'Neill. They're both nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but if it were up to me, give Daniel Kaluuya Best Supporting Actor. Okay, that's number 6. Okay, now we're getting a little more difficult, but I'm going to put in. Shoot, this is hard. I'm going to put Sound of Metal at 5. It's a little difficult for me to do that because I'm going to already say The Father's going to be at 4.
Hmm.
I like both films. They're very similar. Sound of Metal Sound of Metal is like an the art, the design behind
The
the
audio.
noise, the audio is genius.
Mm-hmm.
The way they deliver that and the way they make you feel like are sort of experiencing what, like, as best as you can,
Mm-hmm.
what it's like to lose your hearing. And 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 I think Riz Ahmed is probably the most one of the most relatable actors ever. Like you just every decision that he made in that film, everything that he does, you understand, you feel it personally. It makes so much sense. Of course you're going to want to like um go broke just to try to regain your life back when you realize like there's gives and takes and there's things that like I don't want to spoil too much, but yes, that was a great film. um the only thing I would have expected more of was just a little bit more music. There wasn't a lot of music in that film. I understand why, but yeah, and the reason why I put The Father above that is because I think Anthony Hopkins did the same thing. The director did the same thing in putting you in his shoes and experiencing uh, what it's like as best as you can possibly through a movie. Experience what it's like to just slowly lose your memory and your mind starts to deteriorate. But I think that visually, um, and performance wise by Anthony Hopkins, it's incredible. Like how well that story was told. So that's why I put The Father at 4. Okay, now getting to the top three. I am going to put The Trial of Chicago 7 at number 3
Okay.
for me.
Okay.
The reason being is that one, like I said, it's probably the most stacked cast, well rounded, a lot of humor, a lot of really deep scenes. It touches on so many different issues and important issues. Um, talking about racial inequalities, legal inequalities, like the effed up nature of a bipartisan government system, the police brutality, uh, um, everything. Honestly, it even talks about how like there's a scene that I think was one of the most important scenes where uh, um, the head of Bobby Seale, the head of the Black Panthers, um, is in a room with the guy that played Theory of Everything,
Eddie
Eddie Redmayne,
Redmayne.
whatever. Yeah, and he's all like, why are you fighting so hard for this? It's because you're just trying to give a big fu to your father, right? Well, this is like I'm fighting because this is my life. Like I'm fighting because I come from an effed up background, and if I don't keep fighting, like my people are just going to be put through the ringer, like they're just going to be keep being held down and all and stuff like that. And I think that's very important. That's an important message to get out. Is that like yeah, you know, these guys are activists and they're fighting for a worthy cause and everything, but they're not going through it like the way that the people on the disenfranchised people groups are going through it. And I think that's important. So yeah, Trial of Chicago 7. Definitely, I feel like everybody should see this movie. Okay, now getting to the top two, and this is really difficult for me. First, Minari, of course, is one of my is probably my favorite film out of all these 8 films. I related to it so much, um, as an Asian American, growing up, um, born in the '80s. They talk about like
Religious.
yeah, the Asian American experience and going to a Christian American church. Um, the families, the issues, the struggle. It just felt so real. And Lee Isaac Chung, like I know that his well, let me say that last. Nomadland, directed by Chloe Zhao, um,
It's like
and
a documentary.
yeah, it was filmed like a documentary to the point where a lot of there's a lot of characters like Swanky, for example, was a real character, was a real person. Um, and and there were situations that I read about where a lot of the actual nomads were surprised to find that the main actors were actually actors and not actual nomads. You know, that's how real the film gets. That's how real the film feels because a lot of it is actually real. And to make a story that profound and so fascinating and well-rounded and about something that not a lot of people think about, and that's what that this movie challenged my thinking the most, because you realize like everybody thinks that the real American dream in the twilight of your life is to be a grandparent, to be taken care of by your your family members and be surrounded by family and to just live comfortably, um, and have friends and stuff like that. And of course, like there's nothing wrong with that, and most people want that, and I think that's great. But the fact that people like the film shows you that there's there that's not the only way to live. That's not what all people want, especially in America. There's more to um, what people want at that stage in their life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So they're both American dreamy.
yes, they both are, and I think, and I will say this, I believe that Chloe Zhao deserves Best Director, the Oscar for Best Director, because that film, like, it just, both Lee Isaac Chung and Chloe Zhao are nominated for Best Director, but I would have to give Best Director to Nomadland. That being said, I'm going to put Nomadland at 2 and Minari at number 1. The reason why I'm putting Minari is my choice for Best Picture if I were part of the Academy, because out of all these films, Minari I think is the only film that the director, the writer, the creator of the film, like his this is the pinnacle of like his his life story. Like he made a film based entirely on what he knows. Everybody has like one, like everybody if every writer or director could have one film that that in like it draws so much from their personal experience,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And while all these other films are great and everything, I think Minari is the only film that truly like is a personal film that
Yeah.
happens to be a great film. And everyone says like this is a film that like people need right now. And I agree with that, but that's not why I put it number 1. I put it in number 1 because like I said, out of all these films, this is like he can't I don't think he could make another film like this. He can make Lee Isaac Chung will probably go on to make other great films, but this one film is like what he drew on through his life experiences to make. And it's a very American film. And I think that's really important. And Steven Yeun, as much as I want to see him win Best Actor, I mean, he's up against Anthony Hopkins, Riz Ahmed, um, Gary Oldman. Whoops. Sacha Baron Cohen is nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and he's up against um, the guy, the sign language guy in Sound of Metal, Daniel Kaluuya, and whatever, I forgot the guy's name. Damn it,
Anthony. No,
something.
I don't know. Sorry.
Anyway, so my choice for Best Picture is Minari. Rizaline's choice is Chicago Trial of the Chicago 7.
I like how you say that because we're in front of your computer.
Oh, Rizaline?
Yep.
Okay, Alexa, fine.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
You don't want to mix you up more.
No, it's fine. You don't want to remix me up more? It's fine, but okay, if what happens on Sunday when we watch, if Minari wins Best Picture, what do I win? Or if Trial of Chicago 7 wins, what do you win?
I don't know.
Okay, loser has to take a shot.
Oh, I'm so scared.
Has to take a shot of something that I make.
Whoa. I don't know. That's okay. The
Everyone
winner, the pancakes.
pancakes. Okay, the everyone's saying though that they believe Nomadland is gonna win Best Picture.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's possible because it is a great movie. It really is. It's insane how well it's done. Um,
It is interesting to like be this invested in it because I don't watch. It's been a while since I've watched the actual Academy Awards, but
mhm,
we keep up with the news on it, and
mhm.
sometimes there's controversy about which movies
Sure. It's
chosen,
like the
and
year that Parasite won. We went eventually to watch Parasite. We watched Parasite, but that was after it won. And usually when one of these films wins, then there's this huge hype about it, and everyone's got to watch it and stuff like that. Um, I I you know I wish I you said will we do this again? I hope we do.
yeah,
But
we can try.
I hope we do. But maybe we could do a different category next time.
Okay.
Like we could do like best actress, and then we can watch
Yeah.
all the
Well,
films in
I
best
mean,
actress.
honestly, like I don't mind doing this because these top movies are usually the ones that pop up in other categories.
True. Hmm.
So, like, I mean, might as well do a selection. I mean, if anything, if we wanted to, we could look up what ones from last year or the year before,
But then we
and
already know which one wins though. But
sure,
okay, yeah, I don't mind
that's
doing that. I
true.
don't mind doing that though.
But I do like the fact of like taking taking that extra leap and watching things that you wouldn't usually watch. Cuz I know like I'm pretty like I just want to watch whatever I want to watch. But when you go outside of that, then
Hmm.
you get to hear stories that you didn't expect to appreciate and
True.
learn.
You gain perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what everyone ultimately needs to do. They need to go out of their comfort zone and be willing to gain perspective and gain understanding of an aspect of life that they didn't that they don't think about too often. You know, I think that's important, and I think that that's what makes movies so so um so important as an art form. That not all movies need to be uh the Avengers or Raya and the Last Dragon
Which we
or
still have to watch.
yeah,
Yay.
they're all great films too. But
Yeah.
if I highly recommend people go out of their way to watch films like these. All right, okay, guys. The Oscars are this Sunday.
Woo. We should dress up.
Yeah, we should. We should. We'll dress up and then we'll stream it
Well,
on Discord.
after our podcast.
You're right. Okay. All right, guys.
Thank you for watching.
Follow me on twitch.tv/DJB underscore remix. And follow Rizaline on twitch.tv/rizalinebeatrice.
And our next video will be recorded off my phone and much shakier. So don't get used to this. Just kidding.
All right,
Thank you
guys.
for watching.